Petitioner beats versus Thantis, Shuyan, and Anafenza the Foremost. Find out who wins next on Commander Replay. Thank you to all of my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Kami of the Crescent Moon today, and we are playing a Persistent Petitioners deck. This deck was inspired by a deck that I saw at the shop a couple weeks ago. I don't remember the gentleman's name who played it, but they used two commanders. They switched between Kami of the Crescent Moon and Nezahal, and it was a pretty straightforward Petitioners mill control deck. And having seen both of their versions, I ended up liking how the Kami of the Crescent Moon version played much better than the Nezahal. But I've added one little caveat to this deck, and we were joking about this when we were playing the match, is that it should be Petitioner beats, so our goal is not going to be to mill, though we may have to do that. Our goal is going to be to lay down a bunch of Petitioners, and then slam a coat of arms, and go to combat. That's what we're going to be trying to achieve today, so we'll see how that goes. That's going to bring it to our turn one. I think we probably go for this Halimar Depths on turn one. Take a look at the top three. Actually, no Petitioners in our opening hand, which is pretty interesting. 3 non-land cards on top of our deck. Ether Spouts to the bottom. Blue Sun Zenith in the middle, and the Medallion on top, I think is how we want to go about that, and we will pass turn like that. So I ended up getting about 22 or 23 Petitioners in the deck. I really wanted to be up around 25 to 28, but I felt the level of control that was going to be necessary to make this deck work did dwindle down the number of creatures that I could jam in. This deck needs a lot of control, and it also needs a lot of card draw to really operate efficiently, I think. And actually, while we're talking about it, a somewhat similar style of deck is the Athreos Shadowborn Apostle deck, and one of the main issues that I see with that a lot is whenever I see someone attempt that on Magic Online, they're never running enough card draw. You need to draw a lot of cards if you're playing a deck that's full of like 1 and 2 mana creatures that by themselves don't really have a lot of impact. They don't start doing a lot until you have a lot of them. So I think you want to be drawing cards like crazy, and Kami's going to help us with that. So I really like what Kami out of the command zone means for this particular deck. And so I think we're going to go for the island and slam the Kami. And this should be fun too, because I think it means that opponents will probably think we're doing some sort of like huggy kind of thing, but for the most part we aren't really, just using that extra card draw. And we're going to try to use it in a way that helps us get ahead more so than helping our opponents. And so let's get caught up on what our opponents are doing. First up, I am joined by one Patreon supporter. That is Chaotix2075, piloting this Shuyan, the Silent Tempest deck. And they've already laid down an Authority of the Consoles and an Azorius Locket. We'll see what they're up to today with Shuyan. Interesting commander, known for doing some one-hit style shenanigans to take people out of the game, so we'll need to be careful of that. We do have a pretty good amount of removal and counterspells in the deck, so we can hopefully not get beat to death by that. Next up, we have a Thantis, and so far they've played a Golgari Signet and a Explosive Vegetation, so getting their ramp on, we'll probably be seeing Thantis next turn. Thantis might be kind of a headache for us, to be completely honest. Our creatures don't really want to attack until we get that coat of arms in play, but again, we do have removal in this Reality Shift. We have a Capsize. We can be extra annoying with that if we want to. And then finally, we have an Anafenza the Foremost. Anafenza, interesting. That exile ability, pretty good, and then not to mention, it's pretty aggressively costed as a 3-mana 4/4, and then the +1/+1 counter is not bad either. A lot of good abilities on Anafenza, and it's a deck that can kind of catch you off guard, in my opinion. I have been run over by it a few times, so we will want to be careful of that. And they lay down a Ghostly Prison and already have an Argothian Enchantress in play, so it looks like they're probably doing Abzan Enchantress, would be my guess. And that's a style of deck that, like, we're not super well suited to really handle. We have a couple things, Cyclonic Rift, and I think there's an Ugin and maybe an All Is Dust in here. At least an All Is Dust. I kind of forget what the top end of my deck looks like now. But anyway, that brings it back to our turn. We draw this Ether Spouts and this Blue Sun Zenith. We will want that Blue Sun Zenith eventually. What are we doing right here? So we're on 3 mana. I think it's going to be Worn Power Stone time. Nothing really crazy happening on board yet. We'll go no attacks on the Kami. I'm sure Thantis is going to be forcing us to attack real soon. Each of our opponents get to draw an additional card, by the way, with Kami. For those that aren't aware, Kami, by the way, is blue-blue for a 1/3. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Essentially Howling Mine on a creature. Pretty interesting little commander out of Kamigawa. Seems like a it feels like a reasonably innocent ability, and then if you've ever seen a good Kami deck, then the combos start coming down pretty early in the game. Ooh, savage play from our opponent, using the strip mine on the command tower against the Thantis, apparently not wanting to see Thantis this turn is what it seems like they are up to. The Shuyun did lay down a Horn of Greed on their turn, so we'll get to draw even more cards. Commander's Sphere for the Thantis, sure. Here comes a Goblin Diplomats. Can force each creature to attack this turn if able. Yep, that'll be an annoying card. And they play some Lightning Greaves and equip the Greaves to the Goblin Diplomats. So they are protected. Here comes a Seal of Primordium for the Anafenza opponent. Let's see what this goes after. Also, if they just decide to leave that in play, definitely not going to play the Cage Sun. Opponent decides to use the Seal of Primordium, going to take down the Authority of the Consoles. Probably a pretty good idea. If that sticks around, opponent will be able to gain a lot of life off of what we're doing. Opponent going to send a 0/1 into the Shuyun. Savage, sending the message. Not sure why opponent attacking with the Enchantress right there. Maybe just trying to stir up some trouble. Anyway, we draw into a land and a Petitioner. That looks pretty good. We are now at a point where we want to start finding our Petitioners. So first things first, let's get this Sapphire Medallion into play. And that should work very nicely for the cost reduction on our Petitioners. Next, we'll play an island. We'll get to draw an extra card with the Horn of Greed. Sounds good to me. There's a Mana Crypt. I guess we cast the Mana Crypt and then just go for Cage Sun. Hope the Cage Sun sticks. In all likelihood, it won't. Opponents have been drawing lots and lots of cards, but might as well try it. There's not a lot going on board right now, so now is the time to do it, I think. And, ooh, we've got a 2/4 Kami. 2/4 almost feels like we should be attacking with it. Let's get the Thantis one time. Although, they have boots, they can just come back. We'll stay put. We'll stay put. As much as I want to go attacking with the 2/4 Kami, they can put boots on that Thantis and come right back at us, and that probably won't be very good for us. So perhaps I need to up the Petitioner's count just a little bit in this deck. We have not drawn into very many so far, and we have looked at some extra cards. I think at least 2. Oh, there's a Font of Mythos coming down for the Shuyun. That's what I like to see. Maybe that's what this deck needs. Get a Font of Mythos down there, really get everyone drawn. While we just slam an endless stream of Petitioners. That's what I'm talking about. Opponent's going to play a Curse of Disturbance on the Shuyun. It says, whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same thing. Sweet. We may start attacking now, because getting zombies is pretty legit. There's a Hunted Troll for our opponent. Interesting. Oh, I see what they're doing. They want to give players creatures and then force them to attack. I like it. I'm into it. So we're going to give the fairies from the Hunted Troll over to the Anafenza. And then the Shuyun going to lay down a Swords to Plowshares on the Hunted Troll. Probably a pretty good idea. That Hunted Troll is an 8/4 Regenerator. As long as they leave a green up, which they did with that Commander Sphere, it's a pretty big creature. It can hurt you. It can hurt you, and it can be tough to kill, so I can fully support that Swords right there. Anyway, Anafenza ends up with 4 1/1 blue flying fairies out of the deal. And they'll get to draw 3 additional cards from the Font of Mythos and our Kami, plus their additional draw for turn, so 4 extra cards, puts them up to 11 after playing a land. Here comes a Vraska. Let's see what this is going after. Some chance that it hits our Cage Sun. Just not the best. Yep, going for our Cage Sun. Makes me sad. That's okay, though, for the simple reason of, like, if Cage Sun sits out there for a while, if you see a mana doubler in a blue deck, that's one of those things that you need to shoot. I know we're not playing the strongest of decks. We're not playing like a super cutthroat mono blue deck, but mana doublers in a blue deck can beat you in a lot of different ways. Anyway, that brings back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip on us. We go heads and win the flip. There's a Soul Ring, and there's our additional draws from Kami and Font of Mythos. Finally getting some Petitioners. So play an island. We draw into another Petitioner. It seems that they are all in one spot in our deck. That is interesting. It appears that our deck was not shuffled particularly well. We actually don't even need to... Well, I guess we use the Mana Crypt to pay for the Soul Ring. And then we just start laying down Petitioners. Don't have a counterspell yet. Would like to see a counterspell to protect our stuff. But I guess on the other hand, we're drawing so many cards a turn right now that it doesn't even really matter that much. Nothing to do with all the colorless mana, really, so... yeah, I guess we just stop right there for now. So we'll send a little poke into the Shuyun, and we get a zombie out of the deal, as do our opponents. Maybe that curse isn't the most helpful because now it's going to be tougher to get through with our petitioners. But on the other hand, we also have a lot of mass bounce and things like that, so we should be able to figure it out. Opponent gets to draw off the Horn of Greed. Ooh, that's a Mana Flare from the Shu-Yun. Oh, things are going to get wild in this turn cycle, especially, oh my god, people are drawing so many cards. Everyone's been regularly at 10 or 11 cards during their turn. So, Mana Flare is going to make this thing get out of hand. I feel okay in that we do have some removal. There's a Luxodon Gatekeeper for the Shu-Yun. Basically, Kismet on a creature. Artifacts, creatures, and lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped. Pretty savage that it makes all lands enter tapped. Also shuts off mana rocks, shuts off hasty creatures named Aurelia, things like that. It's actually pretty good. That means that the Thantis can't come down and hurt us badly off the boots. Opponent saying so many hugs. Yep. I didn't know that Chaotix was bringing a hug-style deck like that, so obviously things getting a little wacky with Kami. Oh no, Thantis gonna shoot the Font of Mythos with an Ancient Grudge. Like, we'll be okay without that card draw, but it was really nice to have that card draw. I'm looking at the Blue Sun Zenith somewhere, probably. Oh, there's a Blasphemous Act. Well, let's see if we can get some milling going before. Let's mill the Rescue Shot Arcade Sun. That's annoying, so we'll mill them for 12. So all the creatures about to get blued up. That's actually going to hurt our card drawing more than I thought. I really liked having Kami in play right there. But at least our opponents won't be drawing cards like crazy and may actually have like some limit to the number of cards that they look at now. Though there's still a Horn of Greed in play. Would we mill from the Anafenza opponent? Starfield Nyx is in the graveyard. That's one we have to be careful of. If they bring that back somehow, that's pretty scary. Sun Titan and Revelark in the graveyard. Those are probably safer there. Although if they have Reanimate Dead, could be an issue. Ooh, we got Replenish. Replenish is in the graveyard. That's a harder one to get back. Although, never mind. You know, they're in green, so Eternal Witness, that sort of stuff. Eternal Witness, Regrowth. There are a few of those. But, you know, if we keep milling them, we'll hit those eventually too. But, I don't know. Maybe we need to be careful. Maybe we need to not go crazy milling them because things could happen. There's a Zancha out of the Thantis, and we can draw some cards with that. I will happily pay some life to draw cards right now. And of our Child the Betrayer, so opponent really going wild on the Thantis theme. Is this the Precon? I don't actually know what's in the Thantis Precon. I'd have to look. Yeah, I don't know. Is opponent running mostly cards from the Precon, or they? I don't know what they're. I didn't look over last year's Commander decks extensively. I kind of glanced at the Commanders a little bit. I've looked at them more so as I needed them. Oh, there's Necromancy. Okay, Necromancy can do some things. Sun Titan, get back something else. Get back Seal of Primordium, probably. Yep, get back Sun Titan. Okay. Doesn't appear to be anything we can do about that. Sun Titan's gonna get something else back. What will it be? It will be an Argothian Enchantress, so yep. Opponent getting going on all the Enchantress stuff. And opponent's gonna play a Corsair Crucifix, sure. Gonna play a Sphere of Safety, yep. Showing an overwhelming splendor on top of their deck. We will want to deal with that at some point. While opponent's doing all this, I'm gonna draw with the Zancha before I forget. We draw into a Strip Mine, and we'll draw one more time. We draw into a Tezzeret. Opponent brings down a Soul Snare, Spear of Safety. They have Dance of Dead on top of their deck, and they use the plus mode on Vraska. Until your next turn, whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska, destroy that creature. That's going to bring it back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip on us. Let's go heads, since we won the last one. One again. We draw into a Thran Dynamo. Colorless ramp right here. I don't know. Did we need more colorless ramp? Not entirely sure. Lay down the Strip Mine. We get to draw with the Horn of Greed. That gives us a Petitioner. I guess we'll play the Thran Dynamo. Still haven't found a counterspell yet. Love to see one of those. Get the Thran Dynamo into play, and then, I don't know, I'm thinking probably end step Blue Sun Zenith for like 1 million. Or Ether Spouts as necessary. We do have to attack with Zancha. Sphere of Safety going to be a bit of an issue, and we cannot attack the Thantis with it, so looks like we are going into the Shu-Yun. And that will create zombies for everyone. And I think we're just going to pass like that. We should probably Reality Shift on the Sun Titan before they get too much value out of it. Soulfire Grandmaster into play for the Shu-Yun. Opponent's gonna wheel and deal us any number of target opponents. Each discard their hands, then draw 7 cards. Oh, that's annoying. Alright, well, we better start spending stuff. So, exile Sun Titan. Necromancy will get sacrificed. Probably gonna need to capsize some stuff. Thinking the Courser of Crewfix. Let's hit the Ghostly Prison. Actually, no, let's hit the Sphere of Safety. That one's more expensive. Suppose we didn't need to cast that last one with buyback, but, you know. Oh, nice! Because those are an opponent's hand, it's all going to get wheeled away. It's all going to go to their graveyard. Sweet. I am sad about the Blue Sun Zenith, though. We drawn the 3 lands. There's probably a few more than I wanted. 2 Petitioners. We'll probably be leaning on the Zancha a little bit harder than I would prefer to draw cards. Opalescence down. Overwhelming Splendor down. Sphere of Safety down. Ghostly Prison down. Necromancy down. Land for the Thantis opponent. They get to draw a card. Mana Flare with Zancha seems really good because now everyone has lots and lots, especially with all the Hug too. I don't think anyone's missed a land drop. So, you know, if you're thinking about doing a Zancha thing, Mana Flare might be a card to look at because if everyone has a ton of mana, they can just, like, basically burn you out with Zancha. So I would love to get rid of this thing at some point. So opponent sends Varchild into the Shuyun. Shuyun gets 3 survivor tokens. They can't block and can't attack the Thantis opponent or a planeswalker they control. And they're going to lay down that Thantis, so now things are going to get awkward. There's a Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs. This is a pretty spicy Thantis deck. I guess I haven't really seen this build of Thantis. I've messed around with my own really kind of off-the-wall builds with Thantis so far. I haven't actually just tried the force everything to attack and, you know, profit kind of build. Vessel of Nascency coming down. That's going to trigger the Argothian Enchantress. Oh, hey, that's a Karmic Guide with a Revelark in the graveyard. That seems like Force of Will bait right there. If they get back the Revelark, they can get back the... No, they can't get that one. They can get back the Eidolon for sure. Do they have a sack outlet? Yeah, I think we probably counter this. Gonna Force of Will the Karmic Guide. We're gonna exile a Petitioner. There's an Oath of Ajani. Opponent will get to draw a card. Exploration for our opponent. They get to continue to draw cards. Land tax coming down. Opponent's gonna crack the Vessel of Nascency. There's an Erebos coming into play. The good news is Argothian Enchantress is forced to attack, so that should likely get eaten right here. And that should slow down some of the Enchantress shenanigans for the Anafenza opponent. Ooh, Crush Contraband. What did that just hit? Hits Lightning Greaves and Erebos. Down for that. Those are both fine targets. So Crush Contraband out of that Shuyun, hitting some nice targets right there. And opponent does block the Enchantress. And that'll bring it back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip on us. Let's go heads. We've won that twice. On the flip again, we draw an Aetherize. That is very helpful at this moment in time. Play an island. Get a card draw off of the Horn of Greed. Draw a Cyclonic Rift. That's a good one to have around. That does make me feel much better about what's going on. Let us get this Unstable Obelisk into play. At some point we may need to think about getting rid of the Mana Flare. Actually, do we just do that right now? There's 5 lands, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 lands in play. That's 16 mana off that. Plus, ooh, and we have cost reduction. Yeah. I'm going to take a look with the Zancha real quick. There's a Petitioners. Let's get some Petitioners into play. Let's get some more Petitioners into play. Yeah, I think we just rift right here. Or do we wait till the end step? No, let's wait till opponents like try to really cash stuff in this turn, I think. And then we'll do it. Since we do have one floating, I will draw with the Zancha one more time. It's a Curse of the Swine. More removal. So, I don't know. Maybe we're a little bit too removal heavy in this deck right now. And just need a few more Petitioners. Not sure. Have had a lot of trouble drawing counterspells. We've seen, I think, only one in the Force of Will. But what can you do? Oh, if we bounce right now, then I guess we just attack the... we can attack... actually, you know what? We can attack into the Vraska, which I am fine with. And send one over here to the Shuyun. So opponent lets their Vraska go. That's cool. And I actually want to get Kami back into play right here. We need some additional card draw. And the fact that we're looking to Cyclonic Rift means it shouldn't help our opponents too much. So we still have 8 mana left. Actually, can we get one more activation with Zancha first? That's 6. And we have a cost reduction of 1 off of the medallion. Yeah, we can get one more activation. Let's activate Zancha one more time. And there's another Petitioners, so we'll wait for next turn on those. And I think we're passing like that. Opponent's going to draw with the Sleeper Agent. Ugh, yep. Was hoping opponents wouldn't figure that out. And opponent gets to also draw with the Kami ability. Draws with the Horn of Greed. Opponent's going to use the Soulfire Grandmaster ability. Puts it back into the hand instead of going to the graveyard. Sure. Gonna do a chain reaction with lifelink. Well, we don't have a way to save our stuff. It's gonna kill all the creatures. They're gonna gain about 1,000,000 life. Should put a little bit of a target on their head. Do we just draw more with Zancha before it dies? Or do we need to hold things up? I think we just draw more, honestly. There's a counterspell. I think we counter that. I'm not going to have anything left to Cyclonic Rift with, which is a little bit scary, but yeah, they're going to gain, like, so much life. And opponent's going to activate that Zancha one more time for themselves, and I think that's the old Spite Zancha right there. Oh, I think opponents could just kill us. It's a little bit scary. Hey, that's a Linvala. That says our creature abilities can't be activated. Though, that does prevent us from dying to Zancha, so that's cool. Opponent going to send the survivors over to the Anafenza. And the Soulfire also over to the Anafenza. Thantis is going to start with a Harmonize. Sure. Opponent has a Blood Reckoning and says whenever a creature attacks you or a Planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life. So attacking... Uh-oh, that's an Akroma's Memorial. So Thantis is going to get to take a pretty good whack at someone. Let's see who they want to hit. That's a Vigor. Even better. So, I mean, we need to survive back to our turn. Whether we will or not, I'm not sure. Would we have preferred to have some mana up for Ether Eyes in the event of an emergency, but that's not how it worked out. So maybe we shouldn't have countered the chain reaction. Oh, nice. They're attacking the Enchantress opponent. Sweet. It worked. The gamble worked. They might survive, though. It's a lot of damage, but I don't think it's lethal. That's about 20. It's going to put them really low, I think. Okay, puts them to 8. Yep. They go to 8. They get a couple survivors. Anafenza gets a land tax trigger. Doomwake Giant. Alright. It or another enchantment, so we're probably gonna lose a bunch of stuff. Comes an Agent of Erebos. Okay, so it's exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Ooh. We do have a Time Spiral in our deck to reshuffle our cards back in, and there are some things in our graveyard that I would like to reshuffle back in. Doomwake Giant gonna trigger once more. It's going to exile the Thantis. Okay. I have to imagine that they have at least one more enchantment in hand, which will kill our Petitioners and our Kami. There's a Garruk Apex Predator. Probably go after the Vigor, personally. Never mind, it is pro-black. You're going to have to go after that with something else. Going to go after the Zancha. I'm actually okay with that, so we don't die to it. That's actually a good thing for us. If they'd gone after the Linvala, then someone could have killed us. Since we are getting pretty low on life, and Anafenza coming into play. Yep. Oh, wow, I think our creatures are going to survive. Oh, that's incredible. That is incredible. Kami and 2 Petitioners going to make it through. Opponent going to send all their stuff our way. How bad is it? It's a 3/3. Looks like it's about 5 damage. We will get a zombie? These curses are really confusing to me. I don't know why. Oh, okay. Opponent sent 1 that way. Yeah, I guess we're just taking. I think it looks like it's going to be 4. Not ideal, but I'd rather have our creatures in play. Linvala going to eat a token. So we're at 18. Shuyun down to 33. He's going to bring it back to our turn. Going to go heads on this Mana Crypt. That's worked 3 times so far. Heads again. It's like it's not random at all. Kami triggers. We get to draw... Ooh, we draw a land and a crawl space. Crawl space is pretty helpful right here, I think. So I played the Tectonic Edge when I really kind of wanted to play the island, quite honestly. But we do get an initial draw off of the Horn of Greed. Let's get the crawl space into play. Yeah, we will have to attack with the Petitioners right here. Makes me not super happy, but I think we're just going to be leaving up all the instant speed stuff. Just going to send everything into Shuyun. They can only block 1, so that seems ideal. No blocks for our opponent. Awesome. Awesome. Let's get the crawl space into play. Do we play a Petitioner right here? I don't know. Is it even worth it? It might be just in the sense that, like, blue mana is slightly challenging, but really want to have... that'll be 6. That'll be 3. Yeah, I guess we're good. Yeah, let's play it. Really do want to have all of our spells available to us, so we'll pass like that. That's a Consecrated Sphinx for the Shuyun. Yep, that's a pretty good one. We have a spectator in the game asking, always wonder why mana doubling went from red to green and black. That is a fantastic question. I have no idea. I'm just going to let opponents know that I'm sitting on tricks so they can... Oh, maybe not. That's a Time Spiral. Oh, it makes me sad. We're probably going to have to do this. Overload the Cyclonic Rift. So, Time Spiral makes me sad. Yeah. Use a lot of the colorless lands right here since Mana Flare is going to go away. So we lay down the Cyclonic Rift, and that's going to wheel away all the problems on board. Interestingly, Anafenza down to 32 cards in their library, and it's going to get lower than that in a second. Did they just hit an Eldrazi? I think they hit an Eldrazi. Oh, never mind. No, never mind. Time Spiral itself is a reshuffle everything back in, so duh. A card that I put in this deck for that exact reason. Although, oh, that's awesome. So the whatever thing Anafenza had down, the Constellation and creature there, did not exile our graveyard at any point, which means all of our stuff got recycled. There's a Psychosis Crawler. Yeah, Psychosis Crawler is bad for our health. So we only get one counter spell right here because of the blue mana. But I think it's worth it on the Psychosis Crawler. Funny enough, Cyclonic Rift did come back to us, so we have an emergency button if we need it. Do we have the mana? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we have plenty of mana to overload it if we need to. There's a Hunted Horror for the Thantis opponent. See who they give the 3/3s to. Gonna give it to Shuyun, sure. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, coming back to play. Yep. Opponent will get to draw with the Kami. Opponent's gonna go for a Ghostly Prison. That's annoying. And an Ashen Rider. Ooh, what does this get? Going for our Crawl Space. Okay. Crawl Space is nice to have, but I'd rather give that up than some of our mana production. Our mana production's really good, and I think that's what's going to help us try and win this game. So let's bring it back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip on us. We are definitely going heads this time. Oh, finally lost one. I think that was 3 or 4 in a row. There's a Petitioners. There's more Petitioners. There's a Mana Drain. We actually don't really have a use for the colorless mana at this moment. Play the Island. No more card draw off of... Horn of Greed is sadly gone now. So I guess we are playing a bunch of Petitioners. Not that much else we can actually do. I think we're just going to pass with all our mana up. We've got counter spells in this hand, which does make me happy, but we don't... I guess we have Cyclonic Rift as our protection. There's a Temple Bell for the Shuyun, sure. I'll take some extra cards. Ooh, we burn a lot of time off our clock. Forgot what playing blue is like. Temple Bell. Opponent's going to activate the Temple Bell. I'm just going to F6 right here. Hope we don't need to counter anything. We draw into some more Petitioners. Opponent going to do some attacking, sending the Hunted Horror into the whatchamacallit opponent, and the Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, into us. We do get a 2/2 zombie. Kazul is actually like a little bit annoying if we want to do some attacking, so I think I'm actually going to trade in our Commander and some Petitioners for it. We have like so much colorless mana and not that much to do with it that I'm okay having to recast our Commander. Opponent's going to block with the Ashen Riders. This could hurt, though. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe we just throw the zombie in front of the... Thought about doing the triple block, but meh. Let's see what the Ashen Rider is going to shoot. Probably something of ours, because our opponents don't have like that many permanents out, really. Ashen Rider dies. They get to exile another permanent. Gonna go for our Sapphire Medallion. That sucks. That's the one that makes casting the Petitioners really easy. Anafenza is down to 9, so getting down there. If we can find our coat of arms, we could potentially finish them off. Thantis coming back to play, sure. Opponent's going to try this Merciless Eviction, exiling all artifacts. I am thinking not. Nice try, opponent. What else do you have? Also, that is a huge tempo blowout for them right there. Eidolon of Blossoms, meh, that's fine. We're going to use these Petitioners one time. Opponent cracks the fetch, goes down to 8. It's going to bring it back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip on us. Let's keep going with heads. It's been working out most of the time. Won that flip. We draw an Academy Ruins. Let's get that into play. Let's play some Petitioners. I think I'm actually going to use the Unstable Obelisk right here now that we have the Academy Ruins. Kind of wish I did it at the end step, but what can you do? Shoot the Ghostly Prison. So send our guys into the Anafenza. Opponent's going to Mystifying Maze one of our Petitioners. Don't know what purpose that is serving. Opponent's going to block one. Sure. Opponent goes down to 4, and our Petitioners will come back, and we will pass turn like that. Opponent's going to Strip Mine in our Academy Ruins. There it goes. Opponent's going to attack us. That's not going to fly. So overload the Cyclonic Rift. Everyone getting their stuff bounced again. That is the danger of recycling a graveyard to a blue deck. When you use things like Time Spiral and all that. Consecrated Sphinx coming down. Yep, can't do much about that one. And Temple Bell. Good news is now we can F6 because we are running low on time. So we get to draw a card. It's a Curse of Swine. Probably need to use that in the Consecrated Sphinx. Oh, yeah. They're going to have a lot of cards in hand. Question is, how many Petitioners can we get into play? Opponent's got 67 cards in library. We don't have nearly enough to mill that out. Here's a Soul Ring. Thantis is back. Kazul, Tyrant of Cliffs, Tyrant of the Cliffs is back. Swiftfoot Boots in. Ooh. Boots on the Thantis. Thantis going to swing into the Anafenza. This should hopefully get rid of the Anafenza. So Anafenza goes down. They go down to -1, finally out of the game. We traded some punches with them, which was like not ideal throughout this game. Mana Crypt flip on us. Let's go heads. Won the flip. Extra draw off Kami. Consecrated Sphinx will trigger. Kami triggers. There's a Gauntlet of Power. Play an island. Get the Gauntlet of Power in. We have 7 Petitioners right now. That is sadly one short of doing it twice. I think we pass like that. Ooh, we do need to attack. Well, not into the Kazul. Seems like a good idea. Yeah, kind of wish we did the Curse of Swine first. Whoops. Opponent will get to eat 1. Gonna block a Petitioners. And they go to 16. I mean, it's not out of reach for the Thantis opponent. I'm just gonna pass like that, sit on the counterspell. Oh, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, opponents do have lethal on us. That's a problem. There's a Mystical Tutor. What are they going for? Opponent's going to go for a Winds of Change. I'd actually let a Winds of Change go. We have 2 lands, which are not particularly helpful. The Curse is, like, not the best. Yeah, there's a Smothering Tithe. Do we counter it? If we counter it, they might not play it. I'm just going to let it go. Opponent's going to activate the Temple Bell. Sure. We draw, ooh, a Whir of Invention. Bunch of triggers on the stack. Not going to pay for the Smothering Tithe. The opponent can have all the mana. This deck needs a Thaumatic Compass, is what it needs. And we could stop some of these incoming attackers. What do we have in our deck? We have Cage Sun, Gauntlet of Power, Coat of Arms, Vidalcan Orrery, Crawl Space. Not a ton of artifacts. Sapphire Medallion. Here comes a Vandal Blast. Yeah, let's counter that one. Opponent's going to go for a Winds of Change. Well, we're out of counters. So, Word of Invention time. Let's get our Coat of Arms. Hope we untap. Could use a protection spell in our hand off of this wheel. Ether Eyes or something like that. So, Consecrated Sphinx triggers a million times. There's a Reality Shift. That's a protection spell. Need to try to get through these Smothering Tithe triggers very quickly. I think we only drew 3, so that's not too bad. Opponent deciding to stay at 20 cards in hand and not draw any more. Interesting because they have a lot of mana. They're going to Enlighten Tutor, sure. They go for a Nev's Disc. Nev's Disc comes in tapped. Opponent's going to play a Teferi. Well, then we're going to shoot the Consecrated Sphinx. Consecrated Sphinx down. And then we're going to pull from Tomorrow. Going to leave ourselves a little bit exposed right here, but nothing we can do about it. So pull from Tomorrow, X5. We discard a card. We will get rid of the Ancient Tomb. Our life is very low. There's a Time Spiral in our hand. That seems pretty ridiculous. Smothering Tithe will trigger a bunch of times. And Teferi's into play. Ew, Teferi is a 10-11. It's a little bit scary. There's a Time Reversal. Bunch more triggers. Bunch more Smothering Tithe triggers. Opponent is now down to 7 cards in hand. That's good. From the 20 or so that they were at. And there's a Fabricate. There's a Linvala. Linvala annoying, but we can still go Beat Sticks. Opponent's going to play an Electro Dominance, deals X damage to any target. You may cast a converted mana cost X from your hand. I don't see... Oh, they shot the Kazul. Okay. So we have a pretty good chance to survive right here and potentially kill with the Kami beats. That would be exciting. Kami and Smothering Tithe trigger for the Thantis. Gotta hope that Thantis didn't find any creatures that are too big. The Hunted Cycle could also be a problem too if they give blockers to our opponent. There's a Decimate, gonna go for Teferi, Smothering Tithe, Reliquary Tower, and our Coat of Arms, so the beat's not gonna work. At least not quickly anyway. There's a Dread, that one's scary. There's a Fumiko, to make sure everything's got to attack. Oh, Linvala's in play, we can't go milling right now either. It's not good. Opponent's going to put the boots on the Dread. Dread does come in tapped thanks to the Gatekeeper. That gives us a little bit of time. Could use more Cyclonic Rift action to keep our opponents at bay. A way to get back the Coat of Arms would also not be terrible. Thantis into the Shuyan opponent. Sounds good. Going to block with the token. It's going to be back to our turn. Mana Crypt flip on us. Let's go heads. Lost the flip. We draw. 8 Petitioners. And then we draw a Rhystic Study. Let's get the Rhystic Study in. Lands will come in tapped. So I say we play a tap land if that's going to be the case. Get the Myriad Landscape in. Get this Urza's Incubator in. What are these things? Are they advisors? Yeah, these are advisors. Choose Advisor with the Urza's Incubator. Guess we just go to combat, swing into the Shu Yun. Won't kill him, but should put him pretty low. Puts him down to 6. Let's get Tezzeret in. We're going to get Crawl Space right here so we don't get completely overrun by stuff. Or we could get Unstable Obelisk. Oh, Crawl Space got exiled. Guess it's going to be the Obelisk. And then we'll play Petitioners. Oh, that comes in tapped. That's scary. Ooh, and the obelisk is tapped. All right, well, we in trouble. Pass turn like that, hope we draw into something. There's a Psychosis Crawler. Thought we got rid of that one, but apparently we did not. Get some auto triggers going right here. Opponent's going to pay for the Rhystic Study. Just going to F6 for a little while since we need to be careful about our time management. Student of Ojutai coming in. Can gain them some life. Continuing to pay for the Rhystic Study. Can activate the Temple Bell. We draw a Petitioners, not the most helpful. Psychosis Crawler will get us one time. That's a puzzle box. We do need to negate the puzzle box. Opponent gets to gain 2 life. Now we can F6 for a little while. And going to cast their Shuyan. Hopefully not paying for their assist. Finally gets a draw one time. It's a Petitioners. Yep, opponent going to send both our way. This isn't good. This is not good. Thantis now has lethal on us. And depending on what they have, may even be able to kill both of us. That's a possibility. There's an Assassin's Trophy on the Shuyan. It's going to trade the Rhystic Study. We could use a big draw. Opponent pays for it, sadly. There's a Terminate on the Psychosis Crawler, sure. Opponent going to pay for that one too. Bummer. If opponent can kill this last blocker, they've got lethal on both of us. So, Terminate takes down the Crawler. Opponent's going to go Windgrace's Judgment. Oh boy. Triggers the Rhystic Study. Hopefully they don't pay for it. Nope. Continuing to pay for it. That does mean that they have lethal on both of us. So, Thantis going to take this one down. That all creatures must attack ability, an absolute headache for us. So, don't run your Petitioners deck into a Thantis deck is what we learned today. So, yep, Thantis taking the game. As far as this deck, needs a couple more Petitioners. I also thought that we just drew really weirdly in the game. Like, it took us a while to actually find Petitioners, took us a while to find counterspells. And consider we have 8 counterspells. I mean, that's a pretty decent amount. Overall, probably need to go a little bit more combo-y with this deck, based on the way that it plays. Any way that you can untap your creatures during your opponent's turn, like if you can copy or steal a Seedborn Muse, that's probably a really good idea. It might be worth having a bribery in the deck if you're planning to go this way. But also, we were kind of just at odds with the Shuyan opponent. If they attacked us on that one turn instead of the Abzan opponent, if they had gone after them, then the Abzan opponent dies, and then we can use that Cyclonic Rift more proactively than defensively, and that would have done a lot for us, and we probably would have been able to win the game in that tempo blowout right there. But because they went at us, we had to use it. You know what? Maybe it was worth the 6 life. I don't know. But although I don't know that other opponents weren't going to come into us anyway after that. So, yeah, just things got a little bit awkward there. The way that the removal played out, if we were able to tap with that Cage Sun, then we would have had really good damage on board, plus 2 more Petitioners to play. So I think we would have been able to kill both opponents, or at least, kill one and severely maim the other. Also, opponent timed some really good wheels against us, because we were in a position where we just wanted to sit on our spells until something happened where we had to react to it, and they played a wheel both times that happened, and that was really problematic for us, so that kind of threw off our game plans quite a bit. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this look at the deck. Probably a few tweaks that could be made here. Like I said, going a little more combo-esque, as opposed to my Coat of Arms beatdown plan is probably where you want to be. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.